Memphis. I was in the Peace Corps from the beginning in 1961. I used to be the desk officer for Togo. Then I went off to Africa in late 61 to be the country director in Togo, and I stayed there for 2 years plus. I wound up coming back to Washington to be the regional director for all of Africa. And when I left the Peace Corps 10 years later, then I went off to establish a new organization called Africa. And that's where I am right now. Thank you.
My name is Peggy Anderson. I was in Togo 1, 1962 to 64. I served in 2 different towns. The first year living on a school compound with another volunteer. The second year by myself, which I asked to be, although I had a young Togolese woman living with me whose family is completely in my life now. They're all her children. She's given me all her children and grandchildren, and they're all, most of them, here. I have the misfortune to be there while 4 months after we got there, the president of Togo was assassinated, and Sylvanus Olympio, who had been an architect of the West African independence movement and was very well regarded in all of West Africa. And the volunteers sort of went around thinking, thank God it can't happen at home. And in 11 months, John Kennedy was killed. And I learned that we were all together in this small boat. I think it was the strongest lesson for me in the Peace Corps and maybe in my life.
My name is Gretchen Bloom. I served in Togo from 1966 to 68, first in Sokode, upcountry, and then in Lomé, the capital city.
Great. John Crane, Togo, 1966 to 1968. I was a fisheries volunteer.
Hi, I'm Barbara Youngie. I served in Togo, West Africa from 1985 to 1987. My first year I taught math as a high school teacher at Anaho, which is on the border almost with Benin. And then my second year I worked with very small business skills development with young women. It was one of the first micro-enterprise development projects, and it changed my life.
Fantastic.
Michelle Lagoy. I served in Togo, West Africa from 1988 to 1990. Working with the children, a lot of times to keep children in line, they were told the foreigners will eat you if you don't behave. And then you would go out to a village where perhaps they've never seen a white person before. And this one little girl, I was on the bus, you travel with the locals, and she turned the corner and saw me, and she was just screaming and crying, and because she had been told, I guess, that there's a foreigner and they're going to eat you. So.
Okay, very good.
My name is Joan Lipp, and I was in Liberia for 4 months in 1990, but we came home. And then after 3 months, I was assigned to Togo, which I was very happy about because I liked West Africa. And I was trained to build mud stoves, which was used to cook the local brew, which is millet, which is cooked in a great big pot, and then it's strained and it's let ferment overnight, and it's good stuff, very good stuff. It's called chouk. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Every country has their own name. I worked with the Welk baby clinics, so all the children knew me. So no matter when I went out on the street, it was Yovo Mama, Yovo Mama. Yovo is a white person. But I loved the children, and I loved the mamas, and it was just a wonderful experience, and I would advise anybody, no matter what age, to try it.
My name was Rita Hirth as a Peace Corps volunteer. I served in Togo, West Africa from late 1995 to 1998. The place that I was stationed was Kara, which is in the north. It's a large market city, and it's the capital of the Kara province in Togo. My program there was small business development. I hosted a volunteer who was new in the country and came to stay with me, and we were going someplace in a taxi, and they strapped some goats to the top. And to me, it was like totally normal by that time. This volunteer was just in like for a month, and we were riding along and the window was open and the goat started to go to the bathroom down the side of the van. It blew in and I didn't think anything of it. And meanwhile, this volunteer is like, she's new, she's only here for like 4 weeks, and she's totally just, and then I thought to myself, wow, I have really been here for a while if I don't mind being peed on by a goat on the top of a van.
Very good. Yep.
Bonne année, New Year's Eve, the market was packed. Everybody was talking to each other and happy all day and drinking, and it was just like the most vibrant holiday. And so that was my favorite holiday, and I always made a point of spending it with my host family. Since I lived in a city, I had lots of opportunities to hang out with volunteers too, but always. And one bonne année, I decided I was going to buy them chickens. So I went to the market and I got chickens, and I'm like, well, okay, I have my bike here. How am I going to get these chickens home? So I tied one to each handlebar and I biked all the way to my family's house with the chicken hanging from each handlebar. And that was my New Year's Eve. And then I went to my family's house and, well, we killed the chickens, ate them and celebrated. So, yep. Well, reintegration-wise, I am from Wisconsin, and I went to live in Minneapolis when I came home. I knew a lot of people there, so I ended up there. And I was still getting used to driving. I hadn't driven for 3 years, and doing normal day-to-day things like shopping and filling your car up with gas and things like that. And I was at a gas station, and I could not figure out how to get gas in my car because they're all different. Some you flip the little thing up, some you push the big button that says push, some have the little buttons underneath each type of gas, right? And I hadn't filled a car with gas for like 3 years. So I'm standing there, I swiped my card, I figured out how to do that. And I was like, totally, how do I get this gas in the car? And finally the lady from inside over the speaker, ma'am, push the start button. Well, the button was like this big and said start on it. So I was like, did anybody see me? So just little things like that were like really hard to get used to coming home. You know, you take them for granted, but if you haven't driven a car for 3 years and had to fill a tank of, fill up a tank of gas, then.
I'm Amy Waldron. I'm a Suji. Was a Crisis Corps volunteer in Togo in 2000. And I haven't regretted it, although I wondered some days what I was doing there, and just sat by the road some days if I didn't have appointments or projects picking up, and that turned out to be a pretty good method in case somebody's watching who's going to volunteer in a muddy village. Sit by the main road and you'll see what's happening that day.
My name is Marco Werman. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Togo in West Africa from 1984 through 1987 in the far north of the country. It's a little country about 300 miles long, but a little town called Daupong, which is just about 30 minutes south of Burkina Faso, former Upper Volta.
Great. Now.
Memory. I became very good friends with a Togolese man named Bojana, Komi Bojana, and he taught at one little junior high school in town. I taught at the other, and we became great friends, and we still stay in touch. And I just always remember and relish one bar that we used to hang out at after school that was owned by the wife of the local commissaire. And she was a lovely woman, and Bojana knew her and introduced me to her, and she used to cook dinner for us, and we'd drink beers. And it was just, it was one of those moments that I will always cherish about my Peace Corps years.